always love a big two. I don't really love a big three. The big three thing has never really worked. And you say, well, what happened in Miami? That wasn't really a big three. There was, when you think about it, Bosh was the ultimate professional. He took a back seat and he played a role in which, because he had such a high eye and he was such a professional as an individual, his approach to everything is what made that work. Always.
Well, there you have it. The comments of one Rich Paul, founder, CEO of Clutch Sports, LeBron James' best friend, the cog in the machine that makes the machine work, the black hand behind the plan, how the game is rigged from the shadows in favor of Yao Kang. See, this is how they build in, how they etch in, how they stitch in a narrative time. Ahead of what time? When it's time for LeBron to actually prove himself on the court. So just in case he falls short, there's what they call that? I forgot the exact word, but there's an out. There's an emergency exit. When all else fails, break glass. This is how it goes. See, everybody knows when LeBron went to Miami, I don't care what Rich Paul said, and he know damn well if he was to exercise any morsel of common sense, he know damn well that was a big three. Chris Bosh was a beast in Toronto. You can't take nothing away from him. He was an all-star like 11 years straight. You can't take nothing away from that man, no matter how much you want to try. But see, whenever you bring up the big three, when LeBron won his first championships, this always gets thrown out there from his camp. They always diminish Chris's role and his importance to that team. Oh, it was all Dwayne Wade. They tried to diminish Dwayne Wade's role too, but he willingly was like, yo, I had to kind of step back and make LeBron comfortable in order for him to come out and be himself. That was the only way to make this work. So they couldn't really throw D Wade under the bus. Plus, D Wade won the championship by itself already. So what was the common denominator? Okay, well, no matter how good Chris Bosh was in Toronto, it would be the break glass emergency situation. If it doesn't go right, if it all falls apart, if we fall short, as long as we don't blame LeBron, we have to make sure the tidal wave of blame goes in the opposite direction. And this is what I don't like about this whole setup of the mentality of the current NBA, the machine that's put in place to prop LeBron up into a stratosphere where he does not belong. Yes, he's a great player. I'm not taking that away from him. But all this circling around narrative that these guys are pushing, and then you can go, I'm going to give a link to this brief snippet from the Pat McAfee show of what Rich Paul said, but he goes into further detail bringing up the Boston Celtics. Just go to Pat McAfee's, his YouTube channel, this interview. This portion of the interview, he brings up the Boston Celtics, how they were more like a big three than, he says he doesn't believe in a big three, but as the basketball fans, we know what our eyes see. The eye tests don't lie. You could put up all the metrics and you could bring up all the numbers that you want to bring up. The eye test doesn't lie. Yeah, Boston had a big three, but those guys were past their prime when they decided to do that. They were still great players at the time, which is why they were able to dominate the way they were for that brief stint. They only squeezed out. They was always knocking LeBron out of the playoff in the Eastern Conference. Always. That's what he couldn't stand. Like, okay, Boston's in my way in the East, and then you got Kobe busting ass in the West. What can I do to get past these humps? It's a double hump. I got a camo in my way. This was the mentality. So this is when the narrative started. Okay, let me push the narrative and let me try to sway not only the public opinion and my fans' opinions. Let me plant some narratives in the media in my favor. So people would tend to look the other way for the longest of time. No, it's never LeBron's fault. No, this is exactly how these guys planned it. And the fact that Rich Paul will open his mouth with the audacity to actually get on Pat McAfee's show and actually, or anybody's show. It don't even matter who show you on. The shit you said was fucking dumb. And we know what you're trying to do. You believe in the big two. So in this case, okay, if it's only a big two that you believe in, so the common denominator of who's going to get blamed when the Lakers get knocked out of the playoffs, it's going to be Luka Doncic. He's the fall guy. He's going to be to blame. When in actuality, he's younger, so he's brought there as an international superstar. He's your replacement, and you know it, but you want to hold on as long as you can. See, it's amazing that this dude thinks he's the GOAT, but once you reach GOAT status, that's when you at your point of peace, mental peace. Like, you know what? I ain't got nothing else to prove. That's when you retire. When you know you're the GOAT. That's what MJ did. Kobe, the baby GOAT, he was like, all right, I had my spill. I'm out. So when you know you great, you have nothing else left to prove. So you like, all right, well, shit, I'm going to check out then. But nah, Brian, he talking about he could play another 4, 5, 6 years. Oh, really? That just means even in your own mind, you know that you still got a lot to prove. Now, who are you still trying to get the accolades and approval from the GOAT? Your mentality is not the same. And the people you have around you, obviously, they think along the same lines as you mentally. This is why y'all all toe the line to put out the same narrative in your favor to protect you. The narrative is an umbrella, and the truth is the rain. And that's what you're afraid of. You're afraid of getting wet, but it's not going to matter in the long run because people going to look back at your career, and people will remember what actually happened. And no matter how much of this narrative you want to push, and your LeBron fans that want to kiss your ass all these years because they are the most non-serious fans I've ever seen and heard in my life. You talk about being brainwashed. A nation of LeBron fans, brainwashed to the core. And this is who Rich Paul is talking to. This is who he's really reaching out to. Because people with common sense, basketball sense, as soon as he started opening his mouth, we started tuning out. Because we know he's full of shit. But y'all heard the comments. What do y'all think? And Rich Paul's assessment that there was no such thing as a big three. There's only the big two. Completely disrespecting Chris Bosh. He had no hand in that. He wasn't an important piece of that puzzle at all. I guarantee you, if Chris Bosh wasn't a part of that big three, if he wasn't on the Miami Heat, would not have won a championship. I said it. They wouldn't have won no championship. But what do I know? I'm just a guy with a mic. You are listening to Shy Outta Town Sports. This is my opinion. You can take it how you want to take it. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. These are my thoughts, and they are not bought and paid for like Clutch Sports. Pat McAfee, you need to get it together. You sound like you cashing Clutch Sports checks now. I'm out.